All right, what's up, everyone? It's Zach, and today I'm here with a very special guest. I am here with my good friend James Ireland. James, how are you doing today?
I'm good. How's it going?
Good, glad to hear it. It's going well. Thanks for asking, and thanks for taking the time to talk today.
Of course.
Awesome. So James, like I said, a really good friend of mine, someone that I've known for quite a while now, and very, very passionate, I would say, and involved with things like his church and music and, currently working kind of like in an office management type role. But a really cool guy and someone that I'm really excited to have on and chat with. So that's a little bit about James, but do you mind telling a little bit about your background, who you are, what you do, all that good stuff?
So first of all, thank you for making me sound really awesome. I originally am from New Orleans, was there until 2005 when Hurricane Katrina made us move up, me and at the time I was underage, um, to the southern Indiana area in the sticks and the absolute booniest of boonies. And for the last 6 years, I've been here in the Detroit area, serving at my church, New Life Church of Garden City in Garden City, Michigan. And like you said, I am currently working at an office, kind of in the more managerial side of things at the office I'm at. What else do you need to know? I've been playing piano since I was 5. Not incredibly talented at it, but I can hold my own. I've been the joke at the now is that I semi-professionally sing, which I do for my church. Um, I've been singing for since puberty set in. My mom heard me singing when I was in puberty, probably like 13, 14 years old, and she told
hmm
me, "James, maybe you shouldn't do that." And I was really offended, but I decided, she said, the only way you will get better, maybe, is if you practice. And so I practiced. I practiced a lot. So I practiced enough to be okay. So that's basically where we're at.
Okay, awesome. So, when you said with kind of like the singing and everything, you were practicing and practiced a lot, like, because you practice, like, on your own, right? Like, you're not classically or formally trained, right?
No, I had taken a few voice lessons.
Mhm.
That were like paid for professional. But that was really only a couple of years ago at the
Yeah.
beginning of pose. Before that, it was years of just picking up things, being in. So much of my church experience has revolved around music from basically birth. My mom sang. My grandmother actually sings in her church now. My great grandmother used to sing and play. Music's always been a part of our whole family experience. Even one of my uncles owns a karaoke business. So, you know,
Hmm.
part of the legacy of my family. But so to bring it to, me though, in practicing, it's been really, who know how to sing, who know how to breathe, who know how to do, the little techniques that are,
Mhm.
and just learning from them. And practice makes perfect. Um, Mostly self-taught or family taught.
Yeah. No, that is really cool, and I remember, just from our conversations outside of, this recording, how important music is to you and just that it's pretty big in your family. It's really cool to hear that, it's just something that you found passion for at a young age and just practiced and learned from people and, a few professional lessons here and there, but it's just something that you love to do. And now it is something that you do quite often and, professionally with your church.
Yeah. You
Awesome.
think about music that drives the passion is, well, there's two things. First of all, I guess there's three. First of all, it's just the family legacy. The second, though, is that there was a pretty dark time in my teenage years, uh, where the only thing I really had to run to turn to, other than God Himself, in my faith, was music. It was my escape. It was my time and my place to get away into something other than the reality that I wasn't so fond of in my life. So I ran to music, and I found a lot of solace, a lot of comfort there. In my own music. I would write songs. I would sit at my keyboard for hours and hours and sing through the night or just tinker around with it. But it was my way to get away from what was going on in my life at that time. And the third thing is that drives the passion for music is that it is in fact universal. I went to Colombia in November next or of last year, and was at this church retreat of sorts, a camp, an over the weekend camp, and they were so excited. These there was a couple of Americans that came, and they wanted when they found out that I sang and played, they were like, "Oh, you've got to play, you've got to sing," and so they moved to it twice, but um, I practiced with, and I'm like, I don't know a whole lot of Spanish. How to do this? And one of Felipe, he said in very broken English to me, what are you talking about? It's music, musica. He just looked at me puzzled, like, what do you
Mhm.
discuss anything? We just play. Music is universal. Music is going to be it's going to same follow the same basic rules, whether we're in Japan or Colombia or Detroit or wherever we go, even in on a different planet. Music is just universal. It can be understood and felt by pretty much everyone who has the ability to hear. You know?
Yeah, definitely, and I love that kind of idea that music is universal because I think it is something that, everyone sure might have their preference on music, like maybe someone likes rock, someone likes rap, someone likes country, whatever, but we all understand it and we can all communicate through it, and more times than not, I feel like music can bring people together, and it doesn't care about, your background or how much money you make or what your views on, XYZ is. It's kinda just something that can bring people together and is universally understood, and it can, it can describe a situation you're going through, a feeling you're having, whether it's sadness, excitement, whatever. So I definitely agree with you, and I think music's a great way to just kind of lose yourself almost in it.
Yeah. Yeah, I've definitely lost myself in music more than once. I completely lost in it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
makes us all feel the same thing. All
Mhm.
exactly. Everything you just said.
Yeah, and I think, like you said, kind of with the, different cultures and languages, like a song that's about, going through a tough time or something and getting out of that tough time, for an example, we might hear that in English and it's like, yes, like I feel that, I can relate to it. But then you could, translate that song and play it in Spanish and, the people are going to feel the same exact things, right? Like it doesn't matter what language it's in. It's that universal feeling that we all can feel and hang on to. And it describes a situation. It doesn't matter what language it's in.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you can even take all of the words out. Forget the translation, just throw it away and all the words and still the music, the way it's played, the way it's composed is still going to convey that feeling.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. And so, James, you mentioned earlier kind of that, music has been one of the drivers for your passion of music has been it's helped serve as like an escape in your life. Do you still feel that it is a way for you to escape and kind of just like tune out the world and just focus on something else, or is it more so now that you've been doing it for so long, it's like, and it is a job for you too now. Like, does that kind of change how you feel about it in any sense?
So it definitely changes everything. In ex- so when it became my actual job, like I am actually employed by my church,
Hmm.
do the music for it. And that did change it initially in what I felt at the time was like a negative way. Like now all of a sudden this is work,
Yeah.
not just the joy of it and, like get to just be passionate. The initial thing was, oh, I'm excited because I get to do something I'm passionate about and, get paid for it. But then it was like, oh, wait, now music is work. But,
Hmm.
that's even evolved to I, I music is a way of living for me. I do a whole bunch of things that have nothing to do with music. But when it comes to music, music is my work. Music is still an escape if I let it be. Uh, but I had to find the ability to like flip that switch. I had to find the ability to say, okay, all right, I'm going to listen to this song and study it, and this is for work. And then you flip the switch and maybe even listen to that same exact song and be like, okay, I can't listen to this song too much because I'm going to get sick of it if I do, but let me really just get lost in this song and see where it takes us because I want to be taken wherever that artist. and the composer and all of his band might have intended for us to go. I want to go there. Take me there. So uh, it's both. It's everything.
Mhm. Yeah, I think that's a really valuable kind of just message to anyone listening that James just shared about, like, kinda having that switch and being able to turn it on and off, because I think, like, a lot of us, we want to do something in life that we're passionate about as a career or a way to make money or just to live, and it sometimes it's like the grass is greener on the other side kind of dilemma where you wanna do it, you do it, and then it's like, "Well, now it's work, and now I don't know if I really am passionate about it anymore because now it's work and I'm stressed because I have deadlines and whatever for it." So, I think being able to kind of have that switch and turn it on and off between, like, "This is work, I'm gonna do it for work and that's it," but then also being able to not get burned out by it and, like, still have it as a passion, like, as something that you can do completely separate from work. I think that's when you kind of can find that balance.
Yeah. The grass is greener on the other side sometimes. It really is. Most of the time,
Y
it's not. But when it is, it's usually because there's extra manure and extra rain over there. Something made that feel really good, and maybe you don't actually want it.
That is very true. I appreciate the analogy and the quite the visual, imagery with that as well.
But yeah, no, it's finding the switch for so many things in life can be important, whether it's
Yeah.
uh, the balance of flipping the switch on, on your TV so that way you're not inundated with all of the fear and the chaos of the world, or music, like I mentioned, the finding the ability to direct your own focus can be so key in living a fulfilled, happy, maybe even successful sometimes life. And we're all, none of us have arrived, I'm sure. I know I haven't anyway. Let me just speak for myself. But the ability to flip those switches in different areas of our be very important. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be the first to also admit, I haven't I don't have everything figured out. I haven't mastered life or, nearly close to it, and I think that it's just that journey and figuring out how we can, learn how to have that on and off switch on everything, right? Like, if it's work, I know people, me included, have had times where, you leave your job and you still do work after you shouldn't be doing work, and it's like you have to be able to find that switch and, you wanna be able to help your friends and family and be there for them and support them, but sometimes you have to be able to turn that switch off and know, like, I can't do that right now, like, I can't pour from an empty cup, kind of analogy, so I think, yeah, finding that switch and that balance in every single aspect of our lives is important, and it's something that, unfortunately, I don't think we're gonna find out, I guess, anytime soon, or even for someone listening, you're not gonna probably figure it out from listening to this recording, but, I think it's just a journey, and that's, part of the nice thing about life, but it can also be challenging because, like, there is no path or, like, set time when you'll figure it out.
No, when and every person's time is going to be different from the next person sitting next to them in their same family with the same genes. You can find identical twins, and their time where they finally arrive there is going to be different. But back to what you just said, that is such wisdom that you just spewed out there a second ago. You just spitting stuff out. So self-care is important, and self-care is probably on the radar more than it ever has been, as it should be, and
Yeah.
especially years what the world has gone through. But there should, I mean, in my opinion, and in my life, I think I can honestly say self-care is important because I have to care for myself so that I can care for other people in my life. Yeah, I've got family, I've got friends, I've got these people that I want to do all these things for, sure, but only fill things, just like you said, an empty cup is not going to fill somebody else.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with that. Self-care is super important, and, it's kind of a unique topic in the sense that what James finds as self-care could be the complete opposite of what I find as self-care, which could be completely opposite from what whoever's listening thinks of. So, it's a unique thing, and I think that we're getting better at it, but maybe a few years ago or maybe a decade ago, whatever, if you say self-care, you think of that has to mean like sleeping or like getting a massage or, something like that, like taking a bath. Like those are, I feel like those are like, the stereotypical things. But I mean, self-care can be, cooking your favorite meal, going out to your favorite restaurant, going shopping. It could be talking to a friend, over the phone, whatever. So there's just so many different things that we can do to self-care, but I think it is, like you said, super important. And especially like you're saying, if you do want to help others or, give back to your community here, at a church or, at a school, whatever, you have to take care of yourself so you can take care of others. Because if you don't take care of yourself first, like then you can't be your best self for you, but also for the people that you want to help and support.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
So I am curious after kind of talking about that. You mentioned self-care being important to you. Is there any special like routines or things that you found that have really helped in your kind of personal self-care journey?
You're gonna laugh. The first
Okay.
on my mind, there are probably several things that I do, but the first thing that just came to my mind is I eat at least a handful of Reese's Pieces every day.
Okay.
Um, no, so I I'm an introvert, but I also value friendships a lot and have since birth. So sometimes, even though I work with the public all day long at both of my jobs, actually, um, sometimes self-care is a phone call with one of my bros. Sometimes self-care is sitting and playing a game, like
Mhm.
one of the consoles or something, just leaving reality for a moment, going somewhere else, doing something else, shooting somebody up or whatever it is, uh, in a game, in a game.
Yes, in a video game where we need to emphasize that.
Uh, Self-care comes in so many forms. Some literally, and again, this is may sound funny, but sometimes self-care is, even though it's Wednesday, going ahead and getting a taco from, you know, whatever your favorite Mexican restaurant is. It's comfort food. And it's called comfort food for a reason. It's actually comforting you. Um, it comes in all kinds of forms.
It does, yeah, it definitely does, and I think, like we both have just said, it can be different, and it probably will be different for everyone, and that's okay, and yeah, I like the idea of you mentioning the food and comfort food, like, I feel like we all have heard and say, like, "What's your favorite comfort food?" or whatever, but I feel like rarely do we ever stop and think, like, "Why is it comfort food?" Like, it's our comfort food or our favorite comfort food because it brings that comfort and it's, nourishing or whatever however you want to look at it, right? Like, I mean, maybe your comfort food is super healthy and maybe mine isn't, but that doesn't make like one better than the other. It's just what kind of makes you feel just happy and kind of at peace and that like comfort. And maybe it's because of something you ate growing up. Maybe it's, because there's a special tradition around it or just like a special restaurant that holds significant memories or something. But yeah, it can be unique to everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. Like for example, my number one comfort food probably would be a shrimp po' boy. But I grew up in New Orleans, so growing up, that was one of my favorite things to eat. I love shrimp. I love sandwiches. You put them together and you have shrimp po' boy, and I grew up with them. So if I have one now, like I'm going to New Orleans in March, to visit my grandma. And when I go, one of the things that is, and she knows, one of the things we're going to do is find fresh shrimp on a po' boy somewhere, and I'll be set. I don't care about the rest of what we eat the entire trip, but I need that.
I like it. And to be honest, it's something I'm not really familiar with. It's funny. I actually heard of a shrimp po' boy probably a couple months ago, and I was like, "Oh, what is that?" And I looked it up real quick, but I've never heard of it prior to a few months ago. I've never had one, but I do like shrimp,
Yeah,
and I like sandwiches, so it definitely sounds like something I need to try at some point.
yeah, they're phenomenal. It's still actually a shrimp po' boy is nothing special. supply its ingredients. It's just the putting of the ingredients together.
Mhm.
But yeah,
Okay. Okay. Well, I definitely hope you get one then, and I expect, an update on how it was.
I will send you pictures.
Perfect. Awesome. So, James, another thing that, you've talked about a little bit, today and something that, I know you're really passionate about outside of this, talking, having conversations with you is just your faith and being involved with church, and you kinda mentioned earlier that it's always kind of been something in your life, right?
Yeah. Uh, yeah. Since the age of 2, I have attended church. My mother was a single mom for the longest time, and uh, she would tell me that, about the age of 2, one day we weren't very well-to-do at the time. We didn't have a vehicle or anything. And so she was walking down the street from the grocery store with me, and uh, and it happened to be a Sunday, and she remembered, and she would tell me so many times this story of walking past. There were two different churches between where we lived and the nearest grocery store, and she saw two different churches over and over and over. And one, the people were they didn't seem very happy. They would come in, they'd go out, and they all dress nice, but they didn't seem very happy. But on the other side of the street was another church. Those people dressed nice too. They would be there. There were a lot more of them, and they were happy. They looked fulfilled. They looked like they were doing well with their life. And she recognized, clearly they can't be perfect, but at least they're happy. And she wanted, like any mom, the best for her kids. So she, not long after, we started going to that church with the happy people. um, but I say that like I try to never to be negative about any group of people, but there are sometimes people who just aren't doing it right, you know. Whether it's a band who's struggling because their bass player just doesn't know what he's doing, or it's a church full of unhappy people because they're not they're not doing faith right. Faith is something should be something that, especially faith in Jesus Christ, the Christian faith should be something that's full of love, hope, joy, peace. Like these are the cornerstones of these are the foundational pieces of the Christian faith. And sometimes you just don't do it right. But when you do put all the pieces together the right way with your faith, there's nothing like it. Some people might say that that's a crutch or something that you depend on. And sure, yeah, I do, but you depend on stuff too. That's why you go to work, or that's why, we all depend upon certain things.
Mhm.
The thing is, my faith has not let me down. Some people will depend upon a boyfriend or girlfriend to complete them. Like, complete me, and that's a nice sentiment until they let you down. So far,
Mhm.
and let down. And I've been doing this for 26, 27 years now. And I know people that have been Christians their entire lives and much older than me. We don't get let down.
Mhm.
So, big difference.
Yeah. It sounds like it, and I think that's an interesting kinda statement that you said that you feel that through your faith you have not been let down, and why I say that that's interesting is I think that a lot of times people who do practice faith, whatever faith it may be, if something bad happens in their life, something significantly bad, maybe, the loss of someone or a loss of a job,
Mm,
end of a relationship, whatever, that's kind of that moment where that person might be like, I've prayed, constantly, and now this is happening to me. Like, why? You're like, why is my faith letting me down, or why is my faith failing me now? Really interesting to hear you say that you don't feel like it has because, you know, and we don't have to get into detail or anything, but I know on a personal level, like you've just like anyone, you've had challenges, you've overcome things and stuff, and just to hear you say, like, you still feel that you feel firm in your faith and that it never has let you down, I think that's just a testament to, like, how much you truly value it and how you understand that even if something bad happens to you, that's not like a letdown on your faith or anything.
No, so yeah, no, again, not to get into it, like you said, but I mean, I have been through abuse. I've been through the loss of jobs. My mom passed away a few years ago. That was kind of devastating. You know, I've had and some other things which we won't go into all of those, but life has come, life has come, and things happen, but none of them happen because of my faith or lack of faith. There's actually a scripture that says that it rains on the just and the unjust. And all it means is that, look, if you're on this planet, there's going to be a storm cloud that comes over you at some point. It rains on everybody. And that understanding mixed with the fact that when I have had troubles, I've run to my God, run to it instead of, blaming God or, it's the mindset, it's the attitude uh, of using the faith for what it is intended to be. It is supposed to lift you up. It is supposed to provide help and hope. And instead of cursing God or saying or blaming him for what has happened, I just turn to him because he's a father. He's described as a father because he is fatherly, and he will, just like any dad who loves his kids, he'll be like, "Oh, what's wrong? What's wrong?" And wrap his arms around them. And they go and fix it. And they sometimes do really good stuff. It was hard when my mom um, passed,
Hmm.
but because she did, there were a lot of things that came out of the situation that actually ended up being a blessing for my grandmother and myself. Um, there was a lot of, I don't want to get into all the details, but not everything that seems bad on the surface or that feels bad immediately is bad in the long run. Sometimes those things end up working out in a way that my mom was not living the life that she wanted. She got relief from it by dying, sure. Not the best thing that's ever happened to her, I'm sure. But she was carrying a load, a weight, a burden in her life that she was never going to be able to let. And so, um, and it affected my relationship with her. It affected her relationship with her mom. Her passing actually un unburdened the whole family. Um, and that's just one thing that was good that actually came out of, man, such a bad, but not everything that's bad
Hmm.
is going to continue to be bad ever. I mean, just look at history. How many wars have been fought? But a lot of those wars end up bringing things like the United States of America out of it. Bloodshed
Sure.
is necessary for freedom. Very far,
Yeah. I mean,
but we are certainly enjoying some freedom.
yeah, man, that's it's really powerful to hear and for me to just sit back here and kind of listen to everything you just explained. I think that that's something that I think as a world, we struggle with, and especially probably people that are closer to us in age, struggle with that mentality of like that instant gratification of like something happened, here's the impact of it. That's all I can see. Like it's that kind of like short sighted view that we have on life at times. And, even in bad situations, good things can come out of them. And that's not to take away from the bad things that we go through. And, certainly I'll be the first to say that like I know James on a very personal level, and I know that you know him explaining like everything that he explained and just shared. I know that the loss of his mother is devastating, and it's something that has been a very tough thing for him and for anyone would in that situation. But just being able to hear him kind of talk about how yes, it is terrible it was very, very bad and it's very sad, but there has been things that have come out of it that, I guess you could say are good or like the positive out of the situation. And again, not to take away from anyone's struggles or anything that anyone's gone through, but I think just having that openness to knowing that even in bad situations or bad events that there can be good that comes out of it. You just might not see it today, you might not see it next year, you might not see it for a few years, or you might not see it till the end of your life, but there can be, and I think we need to be open to having those experiences.
Yeah, it's the circle of life and it moves us all.
Yeah, that is true. That is the circle of life. So, of course, you just shared about like your faith and how important it is to you and everything. And I know that sometimes from talking to people that faith can be something that for someone that doesn't have a background in it, or maybe they did and then they fell out of it, it might be something that can be maybe intimidating to get into or to practice again, or, just to embrace. Do you have any advice or suggestions for anyone that's listening who might want to dive into faith again or for the first time, but is a little intimidated or unsure how to do so?
And so I have so many things. Where do I start? Uh, First of all, like if you if you're out there and you're listening and you're thinking about giving this a shot, give it a fair shot, first of all, because like anything worth doing, it's going to take time. Um, that's the first bit of advice, just practically. Um, First steps, I would find a church that feels comfortable. Um, if you're going to start a faith journey, you're going to want to be surrounded by people that will help you. So if there are churches near you that you've never been to, or maybe you have and it's just been a while, check them out. Go see. Find one that's comfortable and maybe fits you the most. And maybe you won't be there forever, but having a community of people who are trying to do the same thing that you're doing, just like going to the gym and you see the all the other people in their different areas of fitness. Going to a church where that's where everybody has the same intention, which is to draw closer to God,
Hmm.
do that. The third thing I would say is open up that book that you may have heard about called the Bible. Read it. And don't start at the beginning, or you can read any of it. It's all going to be good. I would go to, there are four books, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. If you're really wanting to know about this Christian faith, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John are going to tell you all about Jesus, who he is, what kind of man he was. Start there because if you're interested in the Christian faith, you either are going to like Jesus, most people do, even many who don't believe that he was who he said he was. I mean, he's kind of a good guy. Um, Start there, read about him. If you don't like what you're seeing there, you're probably not going to like the Christian faith because, well, it's all built around him, the entire thing. Um, if you have been in the faith before and you're wanting to give it a second chance, my advice to you is just do it. Just do it. I've heard personally so many times different people say, you're never too far gone. You're never, and all of that's true. And it sounds trite. But the reason that people say it is because it is, in fact, true. Um, if you're still alive, if you are still breathing, if you are able to hear the words that are coming out of my mouth right now, that means that your story is not done. It's never done until you're no longer here.
Hmm.
It's never too late. So why wait? Go ahead and do it now. YOLO, just do it like a night. But if you're still alive, if you're still breathing, you're not done. And you can make a choice to make a change anytime. Today, 2 minutes from now, a year from now, but why wait?
Yeah, I mean, I think that that's really good advice, and I think that, whether this my question and your answer was specific towards getting into faith or getting into faith again after, hiatus. But I think it can apply to anything. Like I think we get in that habit where where we do wait or we put things off or say like, let me start that next month or let me do it in a couple months or next year or something. And I think that we get in that habit where we do that, and the next thing we know, it's been like 5 years and we haven't started yet. And I think it's
Yeah,
similar to like you brought up the gym analogy, and of course, fitness and health is some things I'm passionate about. A lot of people like in December will say, "Oh, like I'm not going to start my new fitness plan or my new diet plan until January because it's a new year." And I think there is something nice about that, like new year, fresh start kind of mentality. But as James just said, like why wait? Like if you think that you have poor health and maybe you don't feel super confident in your body and you want to add muscle or something, why wait until 30 days to start that journey now when you can get started right here. And I think like James said, that's very true with faith. And I think that maybe why people put it off is because it can be intimidating, or you might pick up the Bible like James was mentioning, you might read it and say like, what the heck is anyone talking about? Or like you might go to a church service and not understand a single word that's being talked about. But I think that it's like, with anything, you have to you have to learn and get used to it and kind of practice it, even if it's just going to church, once a week and that's all you don't do anything else faith-based outside of that. That's still going to take some time to get used to and to understand it and to be able to feel that what's going on or how it impacts your life. So, as James said, kind of as like the practical advice, just like stick with it and give it a fair shot. And if you give it significant time and it doesn't click for you, or if it doesn't feel right, or you just don't enjoy it, then that's okay. I mean, teach their own.
yeah, yeah. But you'll never know if you don't give it a shot.
Right. Yeah, definitely. And I kind of just touched on it, James, but I would love to get kind of like your take on it for the people listening. Like I mentioned, getting into faith or getting back into it, it might seem confusing. You might not have any understanding of what you're reading or what you're hearing. Do you have any advice to anyone that might be going through that, or if someone does start their faith journey, if they're like, what the heck is this even trying to tell me? Do you have any advice to someone like that?
Uh, My my first advice is use Google. My second advice, don't use Google because you're going to find so many differing opinions on so many different issues, and you're going to be like, which one's right? This guy sounds really smart. This guy sounds like he's passionate. What in the world? Um, I would say, I would say whether you're in church and you're hearing, new phrases, new words that have no meaning to you, or even in the Bible itself, one thing that I tell all Christians, or everybody I talk to, or even non-Christians who are like reading random things in the Bible, before you open up the book or whatever it is, go to the church service, whatever it is, pray, pray. And all prayer is, and it's a fancy word to talk to God, communicate with this being that you may not even know if he's real, but open up your mouth and actually say some kind of words like what I'm about to say. God, help me to understand this the way that you want me to understand it. Just that simple phrase. Say it, mean it, and then trust it. And then when you actually get to the Bible or you get to the church service and they're saying these weird words or whatever it is, it kind of is its own little it's its own world, Christianity. Um, Not because it's supposed to be, but more so because the world has moved so far away from um, religions in general. We're so much about ourselves and our whatever in the world society is even about these days. everything religious, whether we're talking about Hinduism, Buddhism, Taoism, whatever, anything religious is kind of foreign, you know.
Yeah.
And yet at the same time, very just common, like, it's no big deal. We don't care if you're Muslim or, just whatever. It's all whatever. But the things that you don't understand, if you will simply pray, God, help me to understand, a lot of times he will. Now you'll still have questions, absolutely. And so my actual second piece of advice is to keep reading. And just because you're confused about something, don't give up. There are so many actually unbiased tools out there that are just meant to help you to study the Bible because it is such a big and complex and it's a big book. It's a big
Yeah.
everything in life. It's there's a lot in it. And so many people, many scholars have gone and picked it apart and made different things to help you figure out, what does this mean? Or when a story comes up and it starts mentioning something about, oh gosh, I don't even have a good example coming into my head right now, but you can look up something on that topic, find something a book that's unbiased that will help you to study God's word because it's expansive. It is infinitely expansive. It does not stop. So, but don't be discouraged. Keep on going. And just because you don't understand something doesn't mean that you won't later. Dude,
Yeah.
I'm still learning. Years and years. Oh, I've got this at least. The rest of my life is a mess, but at least I've got this little topic. I got that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you're always growing deeper and stronger and wiser. And so don't stop.
Yeah. I mean, I think that that's super helpful and super just wise wisdom about kind of the process of getting into faith or getting into it again. As you're talking through it, I kind of thought of how a lot of people, me included, will say, I watched a movie or I watched a TV series or I read a book, like um, a fictional book, and I understood it a bit, but I need to watch it again. I need to read it again. I need to listen to it again
Yeah.
in order to fully understand it. Or like, I think about maybe a TV show or a movie that I enjoy. It's like, I just watched it, but now let me go Google, like, what did this mean? Or can you explain the ending to me of the movie or something? And I think that is a perfect way to relate faith. And based on how you just described it, like, you might need to, reread something, or you might need to hear it again, or maybe the same message by a different source, different, to use church or to use faith as an example, maybe like a different pastor, a different church, but that's okay. I mean, just like anything that we consume, we might not always get it our first go around, but that's okay. And there are those other resources or just that kind of like repetition of it that will make it more concrete and more understandable and relatable.
That's actually a really good metaphor. It took me 4 times watching the last 20 minutes of Inception to really understood everything.
Yeah.
But I did. I was like, wait, so the rest of the movie was really good. I know I love this, but what? So let me watch this again. Let me watch this again. And the fourth time I finally was like, oh, okay, it all makes sense now. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah. That's actually a perfect metaphor. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm glad you agree and you like the metaphor. And I think that, yeah, I mean, sidebar, I feel the same way with Inception, and to anyone that knows what Inception is or has seen it, you probably agree you've had to watch it quite a few times to understand it. But yeah, it's an interesting way to look at it. And like James said, like we're always we are always learning. Words are hard sometimes. We're always learning, and we're always growing in life. And sometimes we just have like those epiphany moments where, I mean, one I guess that just comes to mind for me is like I'll listen to a song and I'll enjoy the song and I'll listen to the words and I could probably tell you all the lyrics to the song, but then like a year later I'll like hear the song and I'll hear like a line in it and I'll be like, oh, that's what that meant, or like that, like that's the true meaning of those lyrics. So It can be just with anything that we consume, again, whether it's entertainment or whether it's faith or whatever, you might not fully understand it right now, but that's okay because you eventually it will make sense and that like aha light bulb moment will come on in your head. You'll be like, "Oh, that's what it was trying to say, or that's what I was supposed to get out of it." So, yeah, just, keep going with it and just know that not no one understands everything right away for anything in life.
Not me. Yeah.
Yeah, not me either. If either of us did understand every single thing right away, I think life would be a lot different for both of us.
Yeah, if I ever get to that point though, I want to at least get a Nobel Prize for it or something.
Right, right. And I think that's, all jokes aside, that's kind of like an okay, I'd say a good mindset to have, like that you're never gonna figure everything out, but still like strive to figure out everything or figure out as much as you can and like don't have like a closed off mind, like be open to everything and just learning and you won't master everything, but as many different experiences and information that you can learn and have, I think that just helps us become more well-rounded
Yeah.
people.
Yeah, whether we're talking about finances and how like the stock market works or languages or history, world history, whatever, it's going to enrich your life. It's going
Mm,
and help you live a better one ultimately. So
yeah,
never stop learning. Never.
never. Yeah, I totally agree, and I think that sometimes things can be intimidating. Like we talked about faith potentially being intimidating. I think like for me personally, and I'm 25, so I'm in my mid 20s. So this should be maybe more common sense or more highly understood by people my age, but, like, the whole NFT and cryptocurrency market, like, that is super intimidating to me, and I have no idea what half of it is, but, like, I still wanna learn about it, and that doesn't mean I wanna be, making NFTs left and right and investing in Ethereum and, whatever, but, it means that I want to at least have a common understanding of things because I think that will help me grow, that will expand my mind, that will allow me to have a better understanding of the world and to connect with people that are passionate about those kind of things where I can say like, "Oh yeah, I heard this," and then facilitate a conversation based off it.
Right. Right.
So, I have to ask, kind of on that, is there anything, James, that right now is, like, something that you really wanna learn that you're new to or it maybe felt intimidating or feels intimidating? Is there anything, like it can be anything in the world, that you're kind of trying to learn or would like to learn?
Uh, yeah, I have a couple things actually.
Okay.
So I am learning Spanish. Like
Right.
by this time next year, I'm going to be pretty much fluent. Both-
Okay.
that's the goal. While I was in Colombia, I made a friend, Juan Pablo. I don't know if he's going to hear this, but and he needs to learn English. I need to learn Spanish. We've been talking a lot. Like, and I try. He makes me correct his English. He corrects my Spanish too, not nicely. I might add sometimes. A whole new language is like, man, there's so much to it. Especially him learning and me trying to explain to him things in English because I
Mhm.
yes. But I'm trying to learn Spanish. So there's that. The other thing is, and it's hard. It's hard, man. Everything is so different. But the other thing is, uh, not really learning. It's going to be more like just getting comfortable with it. I have never stepped foot inside an actual gym,
Mm.
and I need to. I've got some health things going on. I'm not sick and dying, but I need to become. I need that discipline, and I know that it'll help with everything that's going on in my body. So I was just looking at the last 2 days. I was looking at pricing. I was trying to figure out which one to join. I'm not doing it because it's the new year. I'm doing it because, well, I need to, and might as well practice what I'm preaching, and jump in and go and do it because If I don't do it now, just like you said a few minutes ago, it'll be 5 years, and all of a sudden I'll be fat and have a new disease. Um, but there's no time like the present. So I'm about to not no, let me change that. I'm about to get to start going to the gym. I don't have to. I'm choosing to.
I like it. Yeah, I think that those are both good, I guess, goals, if you will, or just things that you want to learn or incorporate in your life. Spanish, awesome language, something that I took a couple of years in school learning. So definitely appreciation for the culture and for the language itself, and then also. As anyone listening knows, and as James knows, on a personal level, fitness and health and nutrition is super um, important to me and something I'm passionate about. So hearing, both of those goals that you have for yourself is really awesome. So, I agree, like you said, no time like the present. So, I think that's one of the biggest messages that we want to convey to anyone listening today, that there is no time like the present. As cheesy or cliche as that might sound, it is true. So if there's something that you've been wanting to do or try, this is your this is your sign to go ahead and give it a shot and give it a fair amount of time. Whatever that means to you. Maybe that means a month. Maybe it means a couple months. Maybe it means a year. Just be realistic with it. Like, if you want to change your body through fitness, don't say like, "Oh, just gonna do it for a week, and if I don't see what I want, I'm gonna give up." Give it, realistic time, but just give it a shot. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But
Yeah.
kind of like James said, like at least you can say that you've tried.
Yeah. You got to grab life by the horns though while you can.
Yeah,
I'm full of all kinds of cliche things today. I don't know.
I appreciate them. The cliches help, and it helps paint a picture. It's a good, again, I think, kind of universal thing that we all understand too.
Well, the phrases are cliche because they're true. Like
Yeah.
somebody said it, they're like, "Oh wow, that's really good," and they started saying it, and they caught on because they are true. Like these phrases didn't just all come out of nowhere just for the fun of it. Like it's cliche because it's true. So anyway, I don't know why I said all that.
No, I mean that's a good kind of summation of it, because I think, yeah, I've definitely heard like, oh, that's so cliche or whatever, but I've never really stopped to think like it's cliche because it's true, because it's like been proven to, whether scientifically or just anecdotally, it's been proven, quote unquote, to work and to be, helpful or beneficial. So
Yeah.
yeah, no, I actually really appreciate that thought on that.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, James, it has been a very, very fun time talking to you, and this has been a great conversation where, honestly, I'd say kind of similar to a personal conversation we would have, but one where I think that, myself, I've learned from you, in this conversation. I think anyone listening, there's been some great takeaways that can help people, just learn how to start new things, try new things, put yourself out there, stick with things, give it a shot, and just not not be, I guess, scared or intimidated for anything. So it's been a great conversation. As we wrap things up, is there any last like thought, message, words that you want to give to anyone listening?
You can have tacos on any day of the week. It doesn't just have
Okay. It does not have to be Taco Tuesday.
to be Tuesday, man.
Awesome. Any other thoughts, or do you want to end it on that?
No, so I'm sure that when this podcast goes live, you'll probably tag me in Instagram and such. If you do want to talk more about faith or music or anything really, my hashtag will be on that. I'm pretty much adopted Prince anywhere that I go, and if you have any questions, I would love to talk to you. I'd love to help in any way that I can. Pray for you, talk about the Bible, talk about Jesus, talk about music, whatever it is. Uh, but no, that's all I've got, man.
Awesome. Yeah. And like James said, when this episode goes live, as you all probably know, I will, make my social media posts, and I'll also include James's social media in the description of this episode. So if anything that he talked about or that we talked about today really resonated with you, or you have questions, or maybe you're local to us and you want to check out James's church, or whatever the case may be, his social media will be available for you to check out. And again, like you said, whether it's to talk about any of these things or just to connect, I can wholeheartedly say, James is one of my really good best friends, and just a great guy, and someone that always loves to connect and talk to people and share his experiences and beliefs and thoughts on things. So definitely, I would encourage you to reach out, especially if you do want to talk about anything that he's passionate about. He's very knowledgeable on them as well.
Oh, thanks. No pressure.
Yeah, no pressure. But no, in all seriousness, he's a great resource, and James doesn't know everything by any means. Like we both admitted, we don't know everything about life, but very good, person to talk to and to have in your corner, and to learn from. So definitely be sure to reach out to James.
Thanks, Zach.
Of course. All right, man. Well, thank you again for taking the time to talk today. It's been a pleasure as always, and I will catch you around.
All right. Later.
See ya.